when you think about real-world data, you're really talking about observational data that's pretty much uncontrolled, and for the most part, pharma doesn't own, right? And which creates a totally different shift, or a cultural shift, for the organization or the industry that we weren't necessarily prepared for. Now, was that because of denial? I don't know. I like to call it the blockbuster effect, where Blockbuster saw Netflix and they just kind of shoot them away, and then essentially, before you know it, Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore. But I think that real-world data itself is a very powerful thing, and we now are in a position where many of the tech companies probably know more about our products than we do. And so, so that creates a different paradigm. So I think that for us, at Pfizer, and I think any pharma company, as he said, he gave the Novartis example, we recognize that to be the case. We know that, quite frankly, we can't generate real-world data. We're going to have to see strategic partnerships and collaborations in order to make that happen, which is also a bit different for us, because many of those, there's no playbook on how you structure these partnerships, especially in light of the fact that we're moving more to a value-based system along with that. So I think that, my perspective on it is that at some point, we'll see these trusted data brokers or data intermediaries that are responsible for providing the reliable data that allows all sectors to effectively negotiate certain positions as it relates to value-based contracting. I think that, quite candidly, I don't think Pfizer has been the most aggressive organization when it comes to value-based contracting, but I don't think that that's not atypical for us. I mean, we historically have been very much, kind of fast follow. We want to see how it works out for everyone else before we embark on that, but we know that approach is probably not the most effective in this new world where everything moves so fast. So we are trying to certainly pilot new approaches that we've never embarked on before. And we know that when it comes to, it's even bigger to me than value-based contracting, because I think that when I think of areas of focus, and these guys have mentioned it earlier, they talked about precision medicine, we talked about value-based healthcare, we talk about this shift in, or I like to say the rise of consumerism that creates a different paradigm that we're not quite prepared for. I think that many of the regulatory constraints that we're seeing, obviously, GDPR is something that we're certainly thinking about, because we know that provides certain limitations that we will have to work around. So I think that the world is different, and the best approach that we can take is one that is very agile. We can't necessarily rest on our laurels or be complacent in the fact of the historical success we've had. And we certainly can't view the world as if our data is the only data source that people are using to make decisions. So I think the greatest barrier where you will find is more the cultural shift. It's the shift in mindset. It's the shift in thinking about, and then also the capabilities piece. So in addition to the fact that we are now having to set up these strategic partnerships, we also are now competing with the same tech companies for data scientists in areas that we've never quite competed before. So there is a capabilities challenge as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Very interesting. I'll just capture what Chris mentioned. I think one day as a pharma, we're going to wake up and so scared for one thing, is the world don't need us to develop drugs. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, I was a young physician at Duke, and my chief told me, the way you go to pharma is because we only do trials on the phase 1, phase 2. Phase 3s are development by pharma, right? That was a clean cut. But now, if that model changes to phase 1, 2, now in oncology, FDA really grant approvals, and if manufacturing could be taken care of, that model can dramatically shift. Yeah. And our predictability of that efficacy, safety of the drug, and then do the rest of the world need us? You ask that question.
That's a great point, and I think that where we're turning a blind eye is to the tech companies or the data companies, I should say specifically, because if they know so much about the products, to your point, they can identify which products are certainly most efficacious, and certainly invest in those companies no differently than we did, right? And then they're now, not only are they data companies, they're now pharma companies. And the power that they have is they now sit on the data too. So, to me, they're a potential disruptor to the entire pharma paradigm that we haven't accounted for.